Good morning, insiders. Well, I hope everyone had a great weekend. Looking forward to an awesome week. A lot of production, a lot of opportunities, a lot of things we can do. Now, this is the beginning of a series that I'll be doing on Monday mornings, where I'll be sharing insights, plays of the week experience that I've learned over the years in the life insurance industry, mainly from qualifiers for the Million Dollar Roundtable, which is an elite group of financial professionals who have basically the top 1% of financial professionals in the world. You can look this group up. It's called the Million Dollar Roundtable. It's very inspirational, motivational to know that that type of thing exists, where the top 1% of finance professionals in the world get invited to a conference to share ideas, share insights, to get awards. I don't know. I've never been there, but I've mentored under a Million Dollar Roundtable member for the first 7 years of my insurance career. So that's where all of this is coming from. And there are techniques that I've learned that have made it so I went from someone who's never sold a life insurance policy ever to within 30 days selling policies that are $700 a month, $1,000 a month within a year, and just so on and so forth. So these are things that actually work. Now, I want to keep these meetings short and to the point because I want you guys to get in, get motivated, get some t ideas, get your questions answered, and get out there and get your day started and completed as soon as possible, hitting your goals, hitting your targets, the things you want to do each day. And what I found is if you have a high amount of energy for a short period of time, you can accomplish bigger things than having a very low amount of energy for a long period of time. So if you're getting off this call as soon as we're done and you start knocking out these plays, start running one of the plays and say I have a target of hitting 20 people, 10 people, 5 people, whatever the number is that you want to go after. Once you get off this Zoom and hit the phones, knock those out as soon as you can. High energy, motion creates emotion. Those things affect customers. Now, I don't know the types of leads you guys are all getting. It'd be great to know. You can drop it in the comments below. You can drop it in email, send it over to me, George at theagentsoffice.com. You can reach out to me there. But the reason that I ask is because the different types of plays are accustomed to different types of leads, not like man, woman, old, young, nothing like that. But how are you getting your leads? Are you getting them are they in a system that you have access to, cold calling? Are they leads coming in hot off the presses where people are calling into you? Are you working a book of business that's has PNC inside of it, or people that had life with you in the past and canceled? What's the lead, what's the background of the leads that you're getting? If you want to help me with that, I can help put together a more productive plan for you guys. But right now, I just kind of have to assume that most of you have access to some sort of lead database, some sort of lead uh, some leads in some way. And you can see the person's age and you can see their name. That's really all that you need for this play that we're going to go over for this week. If you have access to a person's name and their age, what you want to do is to open up, because the whole goal of these plays is really just to open up the conversation. If you can get someone to allow you the opportunity to explain what these policies do and how they work, initially, that's really all you want to do. And then they will find a way to fit the policy into their life. And they will then ask you, hey, does this work for this? And don't make the mistake of thinking they're just asking a random question. I've done that before. They're asking a specific question, no matter how ridiculous or huge the question might be. I had a customer ask me, for example, I was putting together an illustration for a life insurance policy with him, and then he said, "Let me see how much it looks like if you put $200,000 a year in the policy." And I'm like, "We've been looking at $500 a month type of thing." And he asked me that, and we went ahead and just I showed it to him, and the next thing you know, not a month later, maybe maximum 2 months later, he's buying a policy and he's putting in $190,000 initially. So questions customers have is because they have now fit the solution that you've presented to them into their own life. And now they have questions about that. So be ready for that. But the whole purpose of these plays, again, is really to open up the conversation, open up the opportunity for you to talk about life insurance with them and do the work that we do the kingdom work that we were sent here to do, which is to show people how their money can best be utilized to serve not just themselves now, but people not even here yet. And most incredible after you're gone, which is, nothing else really does that. And so the play of this for this week, it's called the last term policy. So what you want to do is if you have access to these people, again, this isn't for everyone. If you're brand new and you're cold calling or you're door knocking or you don't have any sort of lead database, I'm sorry that today's play is not really going to be super helpful for you, but there are going to be plays in the future that I'll make sure I go over that are specifically for that because I know exactly what you're going through and what you're dealing with and how to overcome the first objections that you get. As a matter of fact, if you want to drop a few of your objections in the comments, you can do that, and then I will address those and we can go from there. But continuing on, just check the comments here. All right, chat looks good. All right. So the last term policy. So what this means is, so if you sell life insurance, you know that there's term and there's whole life. If you don't know that, you need to we need to talk, but you should know that. Now, again, the goal is to open up the conversation. One of the easiest ways to get that conversation opened is to bring up the cheapest option. It's the same thing if you're a P&C agent talking about auto insurance. One of the easiest ways to open up the auto conversation is to quote them the lowest rate possible. And then as they ask questions, you add coverages to make sure that they're happy with what they have and they're willing to pay for it. But if you hit them with the best coverage policy right off the bat, 9 times out of 10, they're going to say, I can get this cheaper elsewhere. So if you just show them the cheapest rate possible, which is most likely liability only, if they have a payment on the car, you're putting comp or collision on there, and you're showing them a payment that's attractive, then when you talk to them, you'll talk about lowering deductibles, you talk about uninsured motorist, PIP, medical payments, all of those other things. If they want those things, but at least you let them know that those things exist. So with life insurance, it's the same way. You're going to show them initially the lowest payment possible, which is a term policy. Now, reason this play works so well is because you're taking advantage of people's um, fear of missing out, their FOMO, which is a natural thing people deal with. Now, what I mean by that, FOMO, is most of the companies you have access to that sell term policies won't sell that policy after the customer's gotten to a certain age. You with me? So, for example, if someone is 54 years old, they may not be able to buy a 30-year term policy once they turn 55. That policy would run them through 55, 65, 80 till they're 85 years old, into retirement, which is a blessing because most people who have insurance through work are going to retire and lose that life insurance, unbeknownst to them, even though it's obvious. You're not going to keep life insurance once you no longer work for that employer. That's just how it works, unless you have a special deal or something in your agreement where you get to take that policy and then you have to make payments on it, but the company's not going to continue paying for your life insurance after you retire. So most times you lose that policy. The beauty of this is if that's the case, if that examples your situation, that term policy will carry them out into age 85. So when they lose that work policy, they'll at least still have that policy. And this is just the angle that you can use. They'll at least still have that policy once they get to that age. They'll have something they own and control, which we always recommend. So this is the last term play. They may be 65, 64. This may be the last opportunity they have to buy a 20-year term policy. The older you get, the shorter the term policies that are available to you. You can't buy a 30-year term policy at 80 years old. You just can't. You can't buy one at 70 years old. You can most likely buy it in sometime in your 50s, Many times 40s is the last time to get a 30-year term, and then 20 is the same way. You can buy that up until about 65, 55, and then the 10-year term about 55, 65, maybe 75 at the oldest that you're going to be able to get a 10-year term. So if someone is averse to buying a whole life policy or you or doesn't have the funds to a whole life policy, then the last term policy is really the way to go. So the way to present it, the way to word it when you're talking to a customer is, "Hi, Mike, Bob, XYZ. This is George calling from, your insurance agency. I just wanted to touch base with you real quick and just make you aware of something regarding your life, regarding life insurance, regarding your life insurance, regarding a life insurance option, those types of things." You can also even vet it down even more by contacting customers who have shown interest for life insurance first in the past. That's the low-hanging fruit. If you have a customer who you've had a life insurance conversation with in the past, or someone who's shown interest in the past but never really pulled the trigger, this is the time to call them and say, "Hey, just want to make you aware that this is your last opportunity to lock in a fixed insurance policy rate for the next 30 years on a term policy." What do you mean by that? Well, the policy I'm talking about is our 30-year fixed rate term policy would cover you for, let's say, $100,000. The rate would be $26 a month or however much per month it's going to be. This is the last opportunity for you to get that policy because once you turn 56, this policy is you're no longer eligible for it. It's only up to age 55 can you qualify for this, pending underwriting. So many people are going to start feeling a fear of missing out. They're like, "Well, this is my last chance to get a 30-year term policy. I was looking at a term policy in the first place. Maybe I should make a move." What other options are there if I don't do this? Well, that's what I like to talk to you about because term policies are a great way to start insurance, but it's really not the best long-term solution if you can afford to lock in a fixed rate permanent policy. They're going to be a little bit more, but they're going to come with benefits that the term policies just can't even touch. And we can go over those benefits if you have time. And then they usually are either open to it or they want to schedule an appointment to go over those things. Start filling up that pipeline. So I don't want to take up too much time. Again, I want to keep these meetings under 20 minutes so that you can get in, ask questions, and get out. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat, drop them in the comments, and I will address those. But if not, I'll just run through it one more time. This week's play of the week, you're going to go for 5 of these every single day. And that is people in your book of business, people that you have access to that they're about to turn. First, look up your carriers and find out what age the term policies cutoffs are. The main carrier you work with, you may have different carriers. Choose one that you want to work with, one that you like the most, that you trust the most, and go and find out what's the latest age someone can get a term 30. What's the latest someone can get a term 20, 10, 15, whatever it is, and write those dates down or write those ages down. Then go to your customer database and find customers who are 1 year removed from it. It's ideal if you find a customer whose birthday is like coming up next month and they're about to right now lose their qualification to qualify for that. But if you don't have those, just find someone within a year, 1 to 2 years of it, and call those people and let them know that you can help them out. And if they're looking for a term policy, now is the time to lock in the longest term policy they could possibly get that they could possibly qualify for based off their current age. I hope this helps. This is the type of play that really gets the juices flowing, gets conversation started, and it really does fill up an appointment list, a week of appointments if you're looking to book those appointments. But okay, hope you guys are good. Have a great Monday. Enjoy yourselves. Any questions you have, feel free to shoot me an email, george@theagentsoffice.com, and I look forward to seeing you guys next week.